Welcome, my name's Sam and this is Little Greenhouse Creates. Thank you for joining me for my final card in this week's stamp set of the week, a Rustic Centrepiece. Now it's been great fun using it. We've only had 3 images. So today's image is going to be the Christmas one. So we're going to turn this image, which is a birthday card, into a Christmas card. So let's get started. So let me show you how it works. It's a long piece of designer series paper, or pattern paper if you will. Opens up and folded nicely and stands like that. I mean, you could, I'm not quite sure if you'd be able to do it with that, but you could hold it like that, but you'd need to have something to hold it there. But it is a flip flap card. Oh, that's what I'm calling it. So let's bring in our supplies. So the first thing I've got is a piece of designer series paper. This is in the catalogue. It was carried over from last year, and for the life of me I can't think what it was called, but it's a specialty paper because it has all this beautiful gold imaging through it. And it's got a nice plain green background, perfect for the Christmas card. So it measures 5.5 by 12 inches. Now we're going to score that, so let me just grab my scoreboard. Okay, I meant to say earlier on in the week, but all the measurements for the 3 cards that I have done this week will be on the blog because they're sizes I don't normally use. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to score it at 1 inch mark. So I'm going to use the small one. I'm going to score it down at 1 inch like so. Then I'm going to score it at 2 3/4. Okay, then I'm going to score it at 5 3/4. And then the last one is at 8 1/2. So that's 1 inch, 2 3/4, 5 3/4, and 8 1/2 inches. And that's all the scoring we need to do. Now, what else have we got? So we have 3 even pieces of cherry cobbler. So the largest is 3 3/4 by 5/8. Then I've got one that measures 2 1/2 by 5 1/4. And then the last one is 2 7/8 by 4 3/8. And that then brings in our white card, which is 2 1/4 by 5 inches, which will mount onto there. And then I've got this piece, which is 2 3/4 inches by 4 1/4. And that will be our focal piece. And that's our backing, that's our inside layer, and that's our focal piece. Right, so let's start with this first. Grab these pieces together so they are out of our way. Right, so the image I'm going to do is this one here, which is the reindeer and the Christmas tree, and I'm going to ink it up in Mossy Meadow. There we go. Making sure that the tree is as green as it possibly can be. There we are. Right. So I'm going to try and bring that down a bit. Get this as central and as fitted as possible. Straight down. Ooh, and up. There we go. So it's in. Now I've got lots of lovely colours to colour this in with, but the first thing I want to do is I want to show you my Wink of Stella. I want to colour in my tree, but I don't want to use a blend pen or a Stampin' Right marker. By using my Wink of Stella, this is still quite inky, so it starts off clear. Add it to your ink, and on some occasions it will make what they call the colour to bleed. But if you do it very gently, it then just looks like you have coloured in your tree. And therefore you don't get any of that large tree look of that you've just smudged it. I'm really happy with how that works. Okay, so when you've done all of that, you just tap it onto your piece of paper, wipe it onto your piece of paper until it's clear, and then it is used for the next card. And this is called a Winker Stella. So I've also got all my colours, so let's bring those in. So what have we got? Let's have a look. So I have got Balmy Blue, so light and dark, and that is for my trough here for the Christmas tree. And go down there with the dark, and then I'm going to colour it in with the light. Okay, go around this bit. Perfect. I'm going to colour in my candle base in the dark and light real red. Go around there. Just highlighting the dark piece and then going over with the light. Okay, perfect. Then I'm going to highlight or colour in the candle flame with the dark lemon lolly. There we are. And again, I'm going to bring in my Winker Stella because I'm going to give that a little bit of a twinkle. And colour that in. I'm not sure if you can see it. Let's have a look. Might be able to see it just, but it works so well in person, honestly. Right, then I've got the other colours I've got are this is Granny Apple Green. This is in the light, and this is for my leaves of my holly. There we go. I'm also going to use the dark real red for my berries, which are just here. And then I'm going to colour in my, what's he called? Reindeer. And I've got two colours. So I've got light copper clay and I have got dark copper clay. So it's up to you what you use. But I would, because I've still got this in my stash because it hadn't run out, so I know it was last year's in colour, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't waste my ink. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to do the dark of the body, colour it in. Okay, and then I've got the light to colour in the non-shaded areas, so like his head here. And the top of his ears. There we are. Right, so once you've coloured him all in, he's going to look like that. So as you can see, the tree does look really good, and there is a slight glimmer to it. I'm hoping your camera is picking that up. There's a slight glimmer to it here, and also the flame. Right, let's bring in our other pieces to create the card. So this is our backing piece of card, this one here, the largest of the three. So we're going to fold. You've got your 1 inch here and you've got your 8.5 inch here. So you're going to fold your 8.5 inch mark over on itself, and then you're going to burnish it with a bone folder. Okay, like so. That will get stuck down in time to that section there. Okay, so the next fold you've got, which is this one here, is going to come back on itself, and then you can burnish it with your bone folder, and then you're going to bring this one over on itself. There we go. Perfect. And then last but not least, you're going to fold over your 1 inch mark. There we go. All right. So this can now be stuck. So what you're going to do is, you've got this little bit here, you only want to put glue on this bit, not on the bit that you can see as well. So the glue is just going on the first section. Right, so let's just, come on, there we go. Make sure this is stuck down really well. And it is centered as best as possible. Now I'm going to bring it down to the bottom. I only want the centering either side here, and there's a little bit of a thicker layer at the top, because I want it to be jutted up to the bottom so that when it stands equally, it doesn't higgledy-piggledy. Okay, so that's that one. We're then going to take our second largest piece of white. Now, what I'm suggesting is I have not wiped this, so you can just, if you wanted to, add a bit of detail, there you are, onto the base of your piece of white card, or you could leave it totally blank. It is totally up to you. You could even put it in full image and colour it in again if you wanted to. Right, so this piece goes on the inside, and what you're trying to do is you're trying to make sure that it doesn't show through when this bit is folded over. So you're going to go as far left as you possibly can, but making sure that you've got some sort of little gap there. Okay, so let's use that with glue. So actually quite a quick fun fold for today, funky fold. And if you've got some spare paper, you can do quite a bit of these, work out quite well. So it's going to take, what, just less than half a sheet of designer series paper, 12 by 12 designer series paper. Right, let's mount that onto our piece of card here. Before I do, I'm going to put a sentiment. I've got Merry Christmas onto here. Now, this Merry Christmas comes from the stamp set Humble Home, which is on the Last Chance section on my website, on the shop. So if you would like Humble Home, it comes with a die, a punch as well. Let me show you it quickly. It's this one here. It's got all the little houses, but I just loved the Merry Christmas that was here. So let's stamp that down. No, try again. Perfect. Right, so I'm going to bring that down to here, and I'm just going to hover over the top. Try and make this straight. Always a good look. Merry Christmas. There we are. And that's in the mossy meadow. Now I can mount it onto my piece of card with my glue. That will then get mounted onto there. And now we can stick this onto our card. Now, what we don't want is for us to stick all three layers down. You only want that section. So, with the card in the direction you want it, which is that one, flip it over from top to bottom, and then you can work out where you would like your glue to go. So I'm just going to have it going, sticking exactly all the way down here, up there a bit. Then you can turn it back, and you know that it will fit. Just double check there's no glue on the other side, which it hasn't. See, totally missed it. And now just make sure it's straight and that we are happy with it, and we can push it straight down. There we go. So that is our Christmas funky fold. Yes, I know we've seen 2 Christmas cards and it's still only July, but some of us have to start creating our Christmas cards now, otherwise they won't be ready for Christmas. Are you like me? Anyway, thank you ever so much for joining me today. I hope you liked all of the cards that we created this week, whether it be a birthday card or a Christmas card. Thank you ever so much for joining me. We will be back next week, and it's scrapbooking week, so do join me for them because we've got some new papers to look at. Thanks ever so much, everybody. Take care. Bye.